What's going on, guys? This is Carl with the Racerred channel, and this is Moab, Utah. Moab is a recreational tourism town which is essentially made up of sandstone. It's an amazing geological area with petrified sand dunes, wind caves, sandstone, and beautiful red rock canyon lands. The Colorado River runs through it, creating a huge cliff wall in the sandstone as it cuts through the canyon over time. Moab gets over 3 million visitors each year. There are several national parks in the area, and people flock to them. Arches National Park is one of the main ones, and it receives over 1 million visitors each year just on its own. Canyonlands National Park is near Moab, and Zion National Park is in Utah, but it's 300 miles away. Moab used to be made of sand dunes somewhere in the Jurassic period, before rising sea levels soaked the dunes in sodium and formed mud, which essentially turned into layers of cement rock. Some of the petrified sand around Moab is still shaped like sand dunes. This is the stuff that slowly soaked in sodium-filled water and petrified where it stood. Most of the sandstone mixed in the mud and layered on top of layer until it formed the hills around Moab, which are extremely scenic. To this day, you can ride around and it's just amazing how you can see the different layers of rock as you ride on top of it. There were a lot of dinosaurs in this area, and there's lots of evidence of that to this day. Footprints and bones are just everywhere. The Mormon Church attempted to settle in Moab in the late 1800s, but the local Ute Indians ran them out of town because the settlers built a fort which restricted the Indian tribe's access to resources. The LDS community retreated back to Salt Lake City, Utah. But in the early 1900s, settlers unrelated to the church returned and successfully formed the town, which is now known as Moab, Utah. As far as recreation, there's plenty of it. The Jeep trails provide great access for side-by-sides, Jeeps, and pretty much anything you want to take on the Red Rock. Without tourism, Moab would be a ghost town for sure. There is mining and a few other forms of revenue, but recreation is really how Moab survives. There's rock climbing, Jeep safaris, dirt biking, mountain biking, hiking, rafting, zip lining, helicopter tours, and a lot of other tourist attractions around town. I enjoy taking at least one evening to walk around downtown and looking at the different stores and checking out all the different restaurants. Most of the stores are open from April to late October, but they close down during the winter months. Moab is just one of the spots for recreation though. If you head out of town, you can find some of the best and most scenic trails. The Whitewash OHV area is popular and contains a pretty vast trail system. This area is generally more spread out and less crowded than the trails surrounding Moab. So if you go during the peak months, I would stay in these areas as opposed to fighting through traffic to be on the trails directly in Moab. The BLM recently closed about 317 miles of trails just north of Moab in the area that I'm talking about. Some of these trails were the most scenic trails in the area. This is not what the people wanted, as people wrote from all over the country to the BLM stating that they did not want their land access restricted. Their pleads fell on deaf ears, as like all land closures I have seen, this one bulldozed right through the public with absolutely no accountability. This is something we should all be aware of, as it's happening in each state that BLM owns land in. Idaho is a big victim of this. For now, Moab remains one of the most fantastic places to visit in the United States, especially if you enjoy the outdoors. The weather holds up pretty well most of the year, and the soil remains pretty good for off-roading most of the year as well. Anyways, guys, if you have any questions, be sure to ask. If you have anything to add, be sure to add it, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace. Really cool spot. This is some cool scenery right here.